Now, to help us break down some of the most talked about topics during the debate, I'm joined by Saruhan Hatipoglu, CEO of BERI and CCTV's Global Economics Analyst. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Rachelle.
Now, both candidates seem to offer this tale of two economies. Hillary Clinton said the economy is improving, it's getting to this turning point. Trump's picture said it was in a bubble, that the US has become essentially a third world country, and that the interest rate hike that the Fed may bring in December could send the stock market crashing. What is the real deal then with the US economy?
Well, the fact that the U.S. economy could be in bubble, he's talking about the stock market, the financial market, and he's right about that, because if you look at the market performance versus economic performance that has been going on for the past, I would say, 7-8 years, there has been a detachment. And this relatively free money that's coming out from the Fed because of low interest rates is making it easier for companies to borrow money. And with the money that they borrow, they're not investing in R&D, they're not investing in human resources, but they're actually using that to further buy their stock and other investments in the financial market. So we are creating this bubble. It has been going on. It is not as dangerous as the financial crisis of 2008. And in terms of the U.S. being the third world economy, I mean, I'm not going to respond to that. But the bubble issue, he's right about that.
Now, what about Hillary Clinton saying that the economy is improving, that is really about to hit a turning point? Is that a fair assessment?
Sure, because it's all relative. From 2008, when the financial crisis hit, up until this point, the economy has improved. The problem, or the criticism, if you will, is that it hasn't improved fast enough. It hasn't accelerated. And there are reasons for that. I don't think either candidate hit on the reasons, but one of the main reasons is that productivity growth has been miserable. From 2000 to 2007, in the technology boom era, immediately even after, productivity was up 2.6%. 2007 to 2050, it's 1.3%. Candidates need to get to the bottom of this. Why is productivity growth so low in this country?
Right.
If they find the answer to that, they'll solve the problem of long-term growth.
Now, one thing that did come up, Donald Trump brought up Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, criticized her basically for saying that she's being political and keeping interest rates low to make the Obama administration look good. What do you think of that assessment about the Fed chair role being a political one?
Well, it may look like that from a distance, but Federal Reserve, by definition, by what they have done all throughout their existence, is not a political institution. Now, I believe Donald Trump would have said something else if Janet Yellen had decided to raise rates by a quarter point in the last meeting. Then he would probably say something like, well, maybe she's doing that because she knows that I'm going to win this and the economy is going to get worse. So I think his answer there was, I did not capture reality, in my opinion. Federal Reserve is an independent organization. Have they made mistakes? In my opinion, we've talked about this for 6-7 months here. I've advised and told my clients as well that this is coming. And it hasn't come. Now, that has contributed to that bubble that we've been talking about.
Now, one thing that we do have to get to is obviously trade, obviously a very hot-button issue. We saw that Trump really went after Clinton's role in negotiating free trade agreements. We've seen that now she's reversing that role, saying that she doesn't want to go after them if it's going to jeopardize American jobs. So if you're a key trade partner like China with the US, what are you making of all this?
Well, everybody, China, emerging markets, even developed countries are worried about what's happening. But it's not only in the United States. We're seeing this type of populist movement that Trump represents here in Europe. In almost every country in Europe, these parties are coming in Italy. You're seeing in France. So, yes, there's reason to be worried because the trade deals, they need to be worked out better, in better detail of worker standards, minimum wage, things like that. And the companies as well. Some companies lose from trade deals, some, not all. Yeah, all emerging markets have a right to be worried. China is no exception because China was specifically targeted as well.
Right.
Not in yesterday's debate, but throughout the past 6 to 8 months, we've seen that. So yes, they'll be worried, and they're right to be worried about it.
Now, we did see that around 81 million people tuned in to watch this first debate. And of course, everyone has to pay taxes. So when the discussion turned to taxes, we saw some very different proposals from both candidates. What do you think are some of the potential consequences for Americans and businesses of the two paths being offered?
Well, some of the tax deals, both candidates offered interesting deals, actually. I agree with the corporate tax rate cut. I don't agree with going from 35 to 15 in one move. That's, to me, aggressive. But Secretary Clinton did not have a corporate tax plan that is satisfactory. We don't know what she's thinking about it. Even President Obama has suggested something, 35 to 28%. So that's good. However, the general tax policy of Trump, unfortunately, is, again, trickle-down economics. We've seen that it doesn't work. 2001, 2003, massive tax cuts, followed by recessions. It doesn't work. Cutting the taxes for the ultra-rich could be a good thing in a certain transition period, but if you based job growth, future economic growth on that, it is not going to come, especially if you're going to spend $4.4 trillion, according to him, according to independent studies, $9 trillion in the coming decades, without knowing what's going to have its impact on the medium to long-term growth is a huge risk.
I'm sure businesses and voters will be watching closely. This is obviously the first of many debates. Thank you so much for joining us. Saruhan Hatipoglu, CEO of BERI and CCTV's Global Economics Analyst.
Pleasure to be here.